Hi, I'm Allie,
Rachel,
and we are the Shunned Sisters podcast.
and everything we say is our opinions and for entertainment purposes only. And today we are recapping season 2, episode 2 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives from the perspective of two XJWs, ex Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes, I like XJ dubs.
I know, me too, but I don't know if a lot of people know what that means yet, but they will soon.
Yeah, and we'll start using that, and people will catch on.
People will learn.
They'll
The
learn.
episode started out with Taylor and Miranda talking at their house, which I love to see them together, the girls back together.
Girls back together. So Miranda, it makes sense why she didn't want to be on season 1 yet because she was dealing with
Yeah,
stuff with her husband and her family as well. And it's super uncomfortable to talk about. And so she didn't know probably how much support she was going to have. And then also, she's admitted like she is there for the money. She wants that money that they're getting. So why wouldn't she come along
on
now?
podcast you said that, not on the show, but yeah.
Yeah, she does allude to it. Why would I talk about this for no pay?
Yeah, no, totally. And she had one line that I really liked where she was saying how she didn't talk about it before because she felt so much shame within the context of the church. So now it seems like she's not active in the church anymore. So now she feels like she can be more honest, which of course, there's no way she could have gone public with that when she was still active in the church. Like, she had to
Yeah, no.
deny it. Otherwise, it would have blown up every single relationship that she had.
Yeah, she does. She talks about on a podcast, she had a faith crisis at that time, and there was
Yeah.
so much shame around it. She knew she was uncomfortable in moments, and she wished she was more firm in some of her boundaries. And I think that that's something that we see a lot in the JW organization. There is so much shame, and you might feel uncomfortable, but you still end up doing it because you're peer pressured. You're young. You don't really know any better.
Do you mean you think she was peer pressured into the swinging?
In a way.
I actually hadn't even considered that
Uh,
she might not have wanted to do it, but just felt like she needed to do it. I literally, that thought didn't even cross my mind. I don't know why it didn't, because, yeah, in
yeah,
those
your face
religions,
looked very shocked.
I just didn't think of that side of things, but yeah, I could see that. Oh, there was something with Whitney. She was just talking about people forgiving, like, can't people forgive? And it just reinforced how much I strongly dislike her. And I will stand on my opinion until the end of time. She would have to do something catastrophic for me to change my mind. I just feel like when she's saying that, she's very much weaponizing forgiveness, which is always happening in these religions where people will treat you horribly and then they say, oh, well, we got to be forgiving. And it just allows so much abuse and so many negative relationships in these type of religions to just continue because you're just told that you're supposed to be forgiving over and over and over, and that there's never supposed to be an end to your forgiveness. But that's not actually healthy. If somebody isn't changing their bad and harmful behavior, then they do need to be removed from your life.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can't allow the toxic energy to continue to come into your life because it's just going to infiltrate everything you do, everything that you are. You are the product of the 5 people you hang out with. And I do agree with that sentiment that
Yeah.
the more bad people you're around or just aren't living their lives the way that you would live your life, you're going to give up some of your morals and beliefs. It can get to that point if you're constantly surrounding yourself with energy that doesn't serve you and doesn't align with how you want to live your life.
And Whitney thinks that people should just automatically forgive her when she's taken no accountability and not changed her behavior at all.
And you will die on that high ground of not liking her. And that is why it is okay for us to have those differences of opinion. Because for me, I would much rather a character, and I'm calling it a character because it is reality TV,
Hmm.
a character like Whitney than Demi any day. Demi is great for TV, but so was Whitney season one. But I think Whitney in her,
Okay.
she is who she is through and through.
But like I've disliked Whitney since before the show, since she did
Oh,
her video dancing
oh
in front of her
yes.
sick baby in the hospital. I just think that that is terrifying.
It was so cringy. Yeah. Yeah. She
She's
did
not
get a
my
lot
type
of
of person.
backlash.
She's an attention at all costs type of person.
Yeah.
Will choose attention over anything else. I swear. And that type of person to me is one of the scariest type of people.
Do you remember her sun sign? Her
No, I
zodiac?
don't. I
I was
honestly don't even care.
I was just looking at some of the girls
I
the other
should look it
day,
up.
and I think it's really funny that Taylor and Jesse are both Geminis.
Oh, I love a Gemini though. I mean, you're a
But
Gemini.
I am.
Watch if Whitney is like a Taurus like me. Uh-huh. That would
That
be
would be
so
wild.
embarrassing.
I feel like she's like a Leo or a Sag, but I could be wrong. Is she a Taurus? Are you sure? Oh God, guys, we might need to have a mental health moment here for Rachel.
Oh my God, that's so. She is a Taurus.
Guys, we gotta stop the podcast. She's. This is gonna take her the whole day to deal with this
Okay, but the thing
revelation.
is, she probably has like a rising sign that's really annoying. On to the next.
The girls are getting some cats. It's Layla, Jesse, and Michaela. And they're talking a little bit about the Jen and Zach situation. And Michaela is saying, I don't think someone can change that fast. When they're talking about Jen is
Yeah.
wanting to let Zach back in. And then Michaela is also mentioning, like, they're talking about the trial period with letting him live there to see if he's changed. And that's where she goes into, women tend to put up with a lot more in their marriage because it's frowned upon to get divorced. And
Yeah. That was the one thing from that scene that was interesting to me because it's very much that way in Jehovah's Witnesses. It's very much that way in Mormonism. It's that way in all of evangelical Christianity,
yeah.
many religions where you can get in serious trouble for getting divorced. So in the Jehovah's Witnesses, if you get divorced from your spouse, and the elders don't sign off on it as a scriptural divorce, which basically means that you need evidence of cheating
Mm-hmm.
and basically your spouse has to admit it to the elders, or you need irrefutable evidence. I actually know of a case where someone knew his wife was cheating on him, but she wouldn't admit it to the elders, so he wasn't allowed to get a scriptural divorce. He actually hired a private investigator to
Wow.
take photos. Yup, got photos of her to show cheating to show to the elders, and then he was allowed to get his scriptural divorce. And the reason why
That's
it's so
insane.
important is because if you get divorced without the elders signing off on it, and if you get married to someone else or date somebody else, then you will get disfellowship, which means you get shunned by all your family and friends.
Yeah. That's
So it's
wild.
really
Like,
hard to get divorced.
and I didn't even know that aspect of it. I knew that obviously growing up in it, you have to have very strict grounds. It is very tough for people in these kind of religions to get out of their marriage scripturally. Even if it is in the scripture, like you're not supposed to beat your wife, you're not supposed to do X, Y, and Z. They want very hard evidence.
They view adultery as the only reason that you're allowed to get divorced. However, what's interesting is they will soften the rules a little bit if somebody's spouse no longer wants to be a Jehovah's Witness.
Ah,
So
yes.
even though it's super strict, if somebody's spouse leaves the religion, then sometimes they will let them divorce the person because they call it spiritual endangerment.
How
So it's
wild is
like
that?
they'll let you divorce your husband because he left the religion, but they won't let you divorce your husband because he beat you. And
Yeah.
that's the truth. And I know of so many cases with both scenarios
Yeah. It's very sad.
that hit close to home. And yeah, I think Mormons are similar. It's not quite as extreme,
Hmm.
but very similar.
Yeah. And I think we're going to continue to talk about Jen and Zach, but going into the
Yeah,
dad talk, as we'll call it, going on their little fly fishing thing. And Zach was talking about nasty interactions he had with the people at church and he wasn't going anymore. I do think that he saw a lot of backlash in season 1 and how he presented himself, not only him, but how his relationship was presented. And we see a little clip from season 1 where Jen got like the nasty text from him. And I paused it because I don't think I had paused it the first season to like see what he said.
it
But
was bad.
he was being really harsh, but he was saying like, especially with all the stuff going on in the temple. So I don't know if they were already dealing with some stuff when they were getting ready to go to Chippendales, or just them joining this reality TV was starting some murmurings in the temple, and they were probably
Yeah.
having some tough conversations.
Like, I know this is gonna be in defense of Zach again, I'm sorry. But because of the misogyny and the patriarchy, it comes down on the head of the household. So in these type of religions, it would have been the church bishop, the church deacon, whoever, probably the bishop,
Yeah,
talking to Zach about what Zach's wife is doing because you're accountable for your spouse. So like there were
100%.
situations where if I did something somebody didn't like, then they would go to my husband to complain about it. And then my husband was supposed to correct the situation. And if he didn't, then it was on him and he could lose his privileges and his standing in the congregation. So I do think there is a lot of that religious backstory to what happened at Chippendales, where Zach was probably under a lot of pressure. It's not making what he said and did right, but it is
No,
context to why it was such a big deal for him, I think. And
no, I
I
agree.
do think it was interesting that getting all of those, as he like said, nasty DMs from Mormons telling him like that he deserved to die, that helped him basically wake up out of the religion and stop going and start. I think he's in the process of deconstruction, honestly. It's very similar to part of what helped start my deconstruction is that my husband decided to leave the religion a few months before I did. We were both fully in. He decided to leave. He was very respectful about it. He sent a text message to people that he was really close with to let them know why he was doing it and that he still loved them and would love to have a relationship if they wanted to. And then people just were calling me, messaging me, talking shit on my husband.
Insane.
People who had known him and knew he was a good person for a decade and all of a sudden started trying to like plant seeds in my head, talking negatively about him and saying, "Oh, are you sure it's not because he's cheating on you?" And everybody tried to convince me that it was because he was cheating on me to try to drive a wedge between us so that I would stay in the religion.
So
And
bad.
just the way that they flipped a switch so quick. Like what Zach saw, these are his brothers and sisters, and they go from his brothers and sisters to you deserve to die. So I do feel like that hypocrisy and that like switch flip does help wake people up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he really saw that flip switch in people and started to see, oh, these people that are supposed to be godly people, they're supposed
Yeah.
to walk in Jesus's footsteps, be like
Mhm.
Jesus, and they're judging him so hard, even though, let's be honest, behind the scenes, these people are not
Yeah.
presenting themselves a way, but they're doing it in a hidden form. Or maybe a few people know, but those are their trusted people that know that they're doing things that the temple would look poorly on. Zach, it was broadcasted to
Yeah.
millions of people. And so I think he's seen that. He's like, wow, these people just want to judge me.
Well, what's interesting is in the JWs is that when you sin and that sin is brought to the church elders, who they have a judicial committee, that's literally what it's called, to judge you and decide on your punishment. And there's three tiers of punishment. There's disfellowshipping, which is the absolute worst, where you get shunned. And then there's reproval. Reproval means that you lose privileges, you can't like comment at meetings, you're shamed, but you don't get shunned. But there's two different types of reproval.
I was
There's
going to say,
public, which is from the platform where everybody finds out and you're publicly shamed, or it can be private where nobody knows. And so that's the lowest tier of punishment. They literally say in their elders book, as a guide to how they should choose which punishment somebody gets, it's based on whether the sin is widely known about or not. Do other people know about it? So Zach committed a higher level sin because people know about it. If you commit a sin secretly, you're not in as much trouble, which is fucked up.
it's wild. And from my experience, I got
Yeah.
privately reproved twice, which is crazy that that second
Yeah.
time, they weren't like, even though people don't know, we're making it public because, girl, couple
You
strikes,
went
like,
easy on you. You got super lucky.
they did, but they didn't. But I think one of the
Yeah.
other determining factors is how repentant, how sorry are you for the sin that you have committed? Had I not been so, to them, not in my heart, but to them, so repentant, so apologetic, so sad for what I
The
did, how
tears.
could I?
Yeah.
I would have been publicly reproved. I know that.
Or
Even though,
disfellowship the second time. Usually it's
yeah.
on the second strike.
Yeah. Well, no, cuz I wasn't baptized yet. So that's another thing
Oh,
too. You can still get in trouble, they can reprove you, but they can't technically disfellowship you because
right.
it's once you're baptized
Yeah.
and then they can do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild. So yeah, Zach's been getting his ass chewed out. We know that. No, by
So
more than some.
with the apology with Zach, with Jesse and Demi, one thing that I thought really was interesting was that they did it at a coffee shop because Mormons famously are not supposed to drink coffee.
I
I don't
know.
know if they were drinking coffee, but it was interesting. Definitely shows that none of them are following the religion fully.
Right.
And
If they
I
were,
think
they
it was
wouldn't even
really,
be drinking caffeinated soda. I'm sorry, but it's the same as coffee. It's
I know,
caffeinated.
but apparently in like the Book of Mormon or something, they think it's only for like hot caffeinated beverages. It's apparently it's different if it's cold. I don't know. I'm not arguing with them.
That's wild.
Do what you want to do. I love a dirty soda. Jen told Zach that none of the girls were there for her.
Yeah.
But then Jesse, who I believe reached out to her and Jen never replied. And I've had friends like that before who were like, oh, you weren't, nobody was there for me. You weren't there for me. It's like, look at our recent text thread. Do you see those messages of me checking in that you never replied to? Like, what am I supposed to do? Text you every fucking day until you reply? Like, no. So I got real triggered on that. I got real triggered and I was like, Jen is playing the victim.
Mhm.
She's playing both sides. She's playing the
She is.
victim. And there's some red flags there. I think sometimes we forget that in a relationship, when stuff goes down, there's not always a right and wrong side. A lot of the times it's both people being toxic. And I think Jen is sneaky toxic.
I think
And I
so
wonder
too.
if we're going to see more of that.
To Zach's point, you don't really trust these women, so why are you sharing such deep information about our relationship? Which I get, you need to talk to your
Yeah.
girls, you need to have people to talk about it with, and they're filming together, so they're with each
Yeah.
other so much of the day. And then he goes home, they have the talk, which Jen seems very confused by things, and that kind of was a red flag to me. I'm like, honey, you know what you did. Don't act like you didn't say those things. The way that Zach was like, I didn't feel like we were there to squash the beef and what can we do to support you? It felt like everyone was against Jen, which to me showed
Yeah.
his original personality of he also likes to stir the pot, and he
Hmm.
also is not fully okay with taking accountability, because
Yeah.
he could have just gone there and apologized, but he's still bringing up things. And I guess, yes, he wants some of them to be clarified and to get more information. What was being said? What can I clear up so that you guys can feel better? The girls just were sharing, they weren't all jumping down her throat, but they're like, wait, there is a misconnect of what we're hearing from her and what you're telling us right now.
Taylor's family,
Mm-hmm.
which I know a lot of people online were pretty horrified by. For us, I
So were
think
we.
a lot of it was very similar to all the families that we knew growing up and even elements in our own family.
Yeah. My heart just went out for Taylor, because being in similar situations where this is the last thing she freaking needs. Last thing she needs is from her family to be bullying her. They
Yeah.
were bullies.
And her stepdad really triggered me. I felt like he was just honestly disgusting. It was that bad. And it started out earlier in the episode. I First, the red flag is when Taylor said that she was going to be Gretchen Wieners for Halloween, and he was like, "Are you
I
going to be
caught
a
that.
slutty Gretchen Wieners?" And I was like, "That's out of line, and that's creepy. Whether this is your daughter or your stepdaughter, you shouldn't be sexualizing her and commenting on that and
Yeah.
slut shaming her when she hasn't even shown up in the costume, but even no matter what she's wearing, it's not your business. It's gross. It's creepy. And then when he was yelling at her and he said, "Oh, you slept with Dakota. You're telling me that you only hung out 3 times. What does that say about you?" And he
Insane.
pointed his finger and then said, "Oh, not to point fingers," right after he pointed his finger.
Mm-hmm.
It was just absolutely disgusting. He spoke to her so horribly. But honestly, I mean, it reminded me a lot of how our dad would be in certain situations in terms of the slut shaming. I think we both experienced that. I remember watching this episode actually brought back a memory that I forgot about, and it was just like such a small thing at the time, but it stuck with me and really bothered me. And it was when my husband, we were dating at the time, and we were 18 years old, and Josh had given me a gift. Basically, it was a picture frame that he made and photos of us. And there was a photo where we were sitting on a bench and he had his arm around me. Our dad just like freaked out one night and was like, "Oh, you think I don't know what you're doing? I saw photos of Josh all over you," when it was literally his arm around me. It was not like it was his arm around me.
Anything.
And just
Yeah.
went off on this tirade, and I felt so ashamed. I felt so horrible, but I was also like confused because it was so innocuous. But that is a product of the religion as well. These men are also accountable for the way that they behave. And
Yeah.
not all fathers in the religion act like that, but a lot of them do because they're taught that they own their daughter's sexuality. That's what the religion teaches. That they're in charge of safeguarding it and managing it. And it's
Yeah.
creepy and disgusting.
Nobody is in charge of anybody else's sexuality or what they want to do. And the way he talked to her and his behavior at the barbecue was just like, this is, like I said before, this is the last thing she needs. Not only is she having it from her mom, who
Oh, her
we,
mom's even worse.
the facelift and the nose job and the lip filler and the, I think she may have had a bleph or two. I don't know. She did work to her she did all the work.
She tried to look like Taylor, and it is
Yeah.
terrifying.
It's honestly terrifying. And when she asked her, I think it was in episode 1, we knew we were gonna talk about the barbecue. Where she was, "Oh, do I look like you? Like, what do you think I look like you?"
Yeah. Oh, in this
Creepy.
episode, um, in this episode when Taylor was talking about the Halloween party, her mom said, "I wish I could go to the party." I caught it
Shh.
just because I'm
She would
like
have loved that.
watching her carefully because
Yeah.
she again, another person with a lot of cluster B traits and red flags, and she very much wants to be her daughter.
Mm.
She wants to be Taylor, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of the reason that she shits on Taylor is because she's jealous of Taylor.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Jealousy, a lot of things stem from jealousy. And when Taylor's sister was like, well, they treated your daughter like shit, talking about
Yeah.
Chase and how Miranda presented themselves,
Oh,
mom has
because
no
Taylor's mom.
loyalty.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, fine, you were their real estate agent. Who gives a flying fuck? Your mom should have some type of
Yeah.
loyalty. And they're at the barbecue, and she's like, well, what's today looking like? It's so exhausting going back and forth. We're tired of it. Bitch, your daughter is tired of it. She is tired of having
Yeah.
everyone's opinion. Not only is it the public eye that's opinionated, but now it's her family. Her brother Hunter
Oh,
just
oh, when Dakota was performatively crying, in my opinion, it was performative crying, and Hunter said, "It just shows you're a good human," to Dakota. And then he also said,
I have to
"Oh,
pull
because
myself
it,
together because it got me so. He goes, I maybe I have the other one because he goes, it feels it's really lacking on one end, and looks at Taylor. He's alluding to the fact that he goes,
yes,
just give him 1 inch for him to go a mile. Just give him one
oh,
sacrifice. I was like,
oh, oh, you
fuck
know
you,
what? I
Hunter.
literally I blocked that part out. And it's giving, it's giving, oh, you're a little fucking in love with Dakota too. Mom's in love with Dakota, brother's in love with Dakota. Oh, and everybody just shits on Taylor. The only one who has any sense whatsoever is her sister.
Her sister. Yeah.
Thank God for her.
Thank God for
But
her. She got to have
Dakota,
one
there
ally.
was there was this one quote from Dakota that to me, I will never forgive Dakota unless he fully deconstructs and comes out and is like, these are all the ways in which I was misogynistic and disgusting. I will
Hmm.
never have anything but disrespect for him. He said, You invited me over at night. What does that tell me as a guy? Yeah.
Insane behavior, because also we're going to put in what we're seeing. He doesn't want to put in the effort to date me during the day, which is what she's alluding to, is like
Right.
he just wanted me as the night girl, as like the little fun. I can be naughty with her because she had this swinging scandal and it looks good for my
Yeah.
name and for the next girl I date. I think that's the thing. Well, let me look this certain type of way and try and repair and try and look good for public and for the next girl I date. We see right through your shit, Dakota. We don't subscribe.
When Taylor's mom gives the prayer, it is really interesting to see a woman give a prayer because in Jehovah's Witnesses, there's an extra layer of misogyny, where in Jehovah's Witnesses, women are not allowed to pray if a man is around. And if a man is around, you're supposed to, and for some reason you have to pray, you're supposed to put a head covering on. At least Latter-day Saints let their women pray. I mean, I guess that's something. But her mom totally weaponized that prayer, which I have
Yeah.
seen done. I'm sure you have seen done, where she literally is praying for Taylor and Dakota to work things out, and Taylor is completely breaking during the
Yeah.
prayer.
Yeah. She's a mess. She's a mess, and it's like this is the last thing she said. I liked in the interview confessional, I think they still call them confessionals, but she's talking
Mm,
about how she feels unheard and judged, that everyone's just telling her to just get over it, which is
yeah.
100% what her brother was getting at her. Everyone is just get past him, give him an inch, give him some grace. Why does he deserve that? She
Oh, he
even
didn't do anything
says,
because he's a man. It's
because he's a
because
man.
in their
Yeah.
religion, because he's a man.
But
Yeah.
I did find it interesting that she was doing the prayer. The dad had left, so it would make sense that she would be the next one. But we
Well,
would think that
Dakota,
Hunter,
yeah, in the JWs, Hunter or Dakota should have been doing the prayer.
whoever has a better standing in the church and in the
Yeah.
religion, that's who's going to get to do the prayer.
But it was just, she was using the prayer as a weapon
Hmm.
to try to browbeat her daughter into submission and shame her daughter. And honestly, I think she needs probably a period of no contact from them to be able to heal adequately.
Yeah, no, I agree.
With Jen and Zach's conversation, I do feel like we saw a little more of Jen's issues, where as soon as he brings something up, she instantly gets defensive and says, "What about the crap I've been through?" and doesn't listen to his. He was actually bringing up his feelings in a respectful way, and she immediately shut down his feelings, brought it back to herself, and she was finger pointing at him a lot. She was actually being the aggressor, and he was sitting there and being pretty chill.
You can tell he's trying to work on things. I see it. I do think that Jen has issues that we're starting to finally see come out this
Yeah.
season. And not only is the public, but I think the mom talk women are really starting to see, like, oh, Jen's not this perfect person. Like, she's definitely made it out to look like Zach's the bad guy and she can't do anything wrong. And it's really interesting when the girls with Zach sit down together, Jesse, Demi, Jen, and Zach. That is really telling. You can tell how defensive she is
Yeah.
when Jesse's trying to be like, but I texted you, but I tried to reach out, and she just starts going in on her, won't let her get a word in edgewise, is just
And throwing shade at me about Italy, like trying to deflect,
when
which
she
I'm
alludes to
sure we're
that.
going to get into that later in the season. I was wondering what your thoughts were on the gambling. Did Zach gamble his medical school tuition away? My instinct is that I believe that he didn't. Based on their reactions, I believe she did make that up. I believe he gambled money away, but I don't think it was that money.
Yes, I agree with you. I think that that was possibly a story that Jen fabricated to
She
make
tells a lot of stories.
Zach look worse. Um, I really wanted to touch on that because I was really analyzing her face. When
Yeah.
she's lying, I could be wrong, guys. When she does the really squinty eyes, she's
Oh, I'm
lying.
gonna have to watch for that.
To me, she's lying.
I'm
It's her way of trying to, her brain is working into how she can spin it and make it up to not be the truth because she looks at Zach and she's like all real squinty and stuff. And he's like, well, if
yeah.
you want to get into it, we can get into it. And the moment when she's like, Zach can probably clarify on this. And then she's like, he is like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm not ready to put all of this out there. I think there's more to the story. I think there's maybe more that went on with his
Yeah.
gambling that's kind of what Jen is alluding to. And he's like, well, if you want to get into it all, let's go. The pause after he says, I would appreciate you telling them the truth. She looks hella scared of him.
You're inferring that she's scared of him. She did look scared. I think she's scared that she got caught in a lie.
I think it could be a little bit of both. I think because
Could be
of
a little bit of both. Yeah.
his anger issues, his a little bit of narcissistic tendencies, I think that
For her, according to her, but
yeah.
I'm seeing more narcissistic tendencies coming from her.
Yeah. Yeah,
Blake Lively
it's
taught us that the man is not always in the wrong.
no. Absolutely not. And we definitely don't think that the men are always in the wrong. We know that women are just as in the wrong in a lot of aspects. And women know how to spin things a little bit better than men to make ourselves look nicer.
I just think the whole Ben Affleck scenario is really funny because it's a big
Yeah.
part. Zach's kind of like, hey, you probably shouldn't be saying that because it's not true, right? It could be an innocent mistake on her part because his family did tell her that. And so maybe she's just like young and trusting and just believed that it was true. But she got so upset about it and said, what did she say? You're not going to make me feel stupid.
Yeah. It's
So there probably is a trigger because maybe it's from her past, and most likely he has made her feel stupid in a lot of their relationship. So she's
mhm.
like triggered by that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, that conversation was really cringy to me
It was so,
because
my whole body was like, oh,
because I can get where Zach is coming from. Like, well, my family is just joking around. Like, of course, we're both Afflecks. We're gonna make it a joke. And some families, some family interactions take it a little too far. They continue to joke about it, not realizing that she took it so freaking literally. But the fact
yeah.
that he's telling her, like, hey, Jen, I told you at this point, like, maybe you shouldn't keep mentioning it because I don't know if that's actually the case and you might get backlash from this. He tried to help you out in this aspect. Like, I'm totally on
Yeah.
his side in that conversation. Like, girl, you just took it way too far.
I think it was a green flag that he said that he was leaving the friendship decision with Demi and Jesse up to her and that he would
Mm-hmm.
support her either way. Now, whether he's saying that for the cameras or because he really means it, time will tell. We don't know for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But on the surface, it was a good way to respond.
Jen, oh, she's getting
Yeah.
messy. They're all getting messy. And then we see at the end of the episode, obviously it's
The Halloween party.
the Halloween party, which the whole lead up to it made me so pissed off with Jesse because I'm like, You're such a shit stir.
Well, it's a reality TV show. I mean, the producers probably told her she had to invite all those people.
I my wonder is not about that with production. I think she did that on her own. I really do.
She's probably a little
Being
mad at Jen. Honestly, I would be if I was her. I'd probably have done the same thing. So,
being the J Lo and Ben Affleck, that's a little out of touch.
yeah, that I would not have done. She went a little too far.
And the Chippendales, that part I think was, to me, that's
Well,
where I
yeah.
believe that it was production that was like, hey, let's tie this back
Mm,
into season one, be doing this.
yeah.
But after you just had this like intense talk with Jen and Zach, which had to have been the day before or 2 days before because you see the Halloween stuff set up at Jesse's house. But like Zach is even talking about it with Jen. Hey, I'm going to the Halloween to support you, but it's still kind of awkward because we
Right.
just had this conversation with them. I think that was one of the messiest things to me. Like, Jesse, have Brett and Jordan rub on you and Demi. Have them do a lap dance for you or for everybody. Why does Jen need to be the focal point of your guys'
Which
Halloween party?
we got introduced formally to Chase this episode, Miranda's ex-husband, and he does
I
this
hate
really
him.
funny thing where he basically says his credentials. So this is something that people do in these types of religions that is literally the douchiest thing. It is the biggest red flag ever. He's like, yeah, I was former missionary, temple married, which in Mormonism is like, so in Jehovah's Witnesses, the equivalent would be, like, yeah, I'm a ministerial servant or an elder, and I'm a pioneer,
I
or
pioneer,
I
yep.
served at Bethel, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So already, just from that one line, I'm like, Chase, I already hate you, and you're not going to change my mind on that.
No, he's so theatrical. Tell it to the camera. She already has. Him and Jesse, in my opinion,
Yeah,
are the two
he wants the
messiest people at that
followers.
party. Yeah. He wants the clout.
But I think Dakota probably again wins worst person on the episode because to literally be ganging up with Chase against Taylor and instigating things and having Chase disrespectfully pointing at Taylor and talking shit about her.
Yeah. Did you see how he turned up and how pale and gaunt and
Yep,
we're
yep.
not saying
He looked.
anything, anybody. We're just saying keep your eyes out. There's certain signs, and he is making
Oh,
us
I
think.
did say it. I said it on our last episode. I said
Yeah.
it looks like he's high on opiates. Like
Yeah.
it's sad and he needs help. I
Yeah.
really think he needs help. You can't pray the addiction away.
No.
And that's a misconception in these religions.
Even if you go to rehab, it's not a fix all.
Yeah.
A lot of
No,
those
you need
people
long-term management. I would love to manifest Dakota having treatment, especially his kid's sake, and everybody can change, everybody can improve.
and going back to what Michaela said at the beginning of the episode, I don't think someone can change that fast. It applies to Zach, it applies to Dakota. Change does not happen overnight. It takes a
Yeah.
really long time to deprogram your mind and to come to terms with your bad qualities and your weaknesses and be like, I have a lot of crap I have to work on, and it's not all on my spouse or my friends or my family. You have to take the inner accountability. Dakota was like, oh, I'm going to be nice and cordial to everyone because Taylor's already pissed at me, so I want to be in the good graces of everyone. Are you insane? Are, is this your first day on planet Earth around women? That's gonna piss women off. You being buddy buddy with somebody that she extremely dislikes because you just want to be cordial for the hell of it for the Halloween party?
Well, a lot of men especially misogynistic men, care more about the opinion of other men than they actually do about the opinion of women. Episode 3 will be back. Hopefully you can like this video. You can subscribe to our channel.